It's 8:23. Welcome back to Great Day. Yes, it is a great day because it's always a great day when we can visit with the privacy professor. Rebecca Harold is here to try to keep you safer when it comes to digital. And that's what you're all about. You said last time you were here, you got quite a response.
Yes, after last time, I had several people send me questions with my question mark.
Wonderful.
Saying, you know, what is this about metadata? There is so much talked about that the government needs all of our metadata to keep us safe from
Now explain what metadata is.
Exactly. Okay. So there's many different types. So metadata, you'll also often hear, is data about data. So anything digital has other things attached to it. So like with Word documents, you have a lot of stuff that you don't see on the page, but it tells you who wrote it, how long they worked on it, the date and time, so the changes made.
It tells you how long you worked on it?
Yeah, it does. So
in a Word document?
In a Word document.
Wow.
If you go to the properties, you can see the metadata, most of the metadata. When you're online, there's metadata related to that. So we can tell your IP address, which basically means that's the ID that attaches your device to the internet. So we can tell who you are by your IP address, we can tell date and time, we can tell who you're communicating with online. So metadata, it basically creates the context around any digital document. It creates the context around any communications that are going on. So there's many different types of metadata.
Jason, I told you clearing your browser wasn't the only thing you needed to do. So.
Oh, yeah, I'm doing it.
So there's a lot. Now, what the concern is currently is under the Patriot Act, which was established way back in 2001, right after the attacks. In fact, it went into effect just 45 days afterwards, so it was written quickly. And they put in there the ability to gather lots of data, including phone data, phone metadata, so that they could try to prevent further attacks.
No, that's now deemed illegal, correct?
That is now deemed illegal. That is exactly right. A federal judge said that this phone metadata bulk collection, meaning they're collecting it on everyone. They aren't saying, oh, we think we might have a terrorist, so let's go look at that particular person and who they're communicating with. For the past many years, they've just been collecting all phone metadata. So
from everybody.
From everyone.
Where do they store all that?
Well, they keep building more storage for it because you can imagine how huge it is. But you need to think about the data that is associated with your phone communications. So you have perhaps the duration of your call, because they're saying, oh, there's no privacy involved because we aren't getting the content. Well, even if you don't get the content, you have the context around which. So you have where the call is coming from, the location, who it's going to, the numbers involved. You have the duration and frequency of the calls. If you're doing texting, you know the different types, texting versus voice. So you have all of this data, and it can reveal a lot because of context. So for instance, if you're making a lot of calls to your doctor, maybe you are going to a mental health provider. The metadata would reveal that you're making all these different calls to a specific type of doctor. Or maybe if you belong to Alcoholics Anonymous and you're making calls. So the context can be very revealing. It can tell a lot about people. And what's very interesting too is that different oversight groups from the government have said that there have been absolutely no terrorists that have been caught from phone metadata. Now, they've used other types of metadata to stop attacks, but the key
probably more computer related, right?
Computer related and so on. But it makes sense because, you know, those who are doing bad things aren't using AT&T and Verizon. I mean, they have other ways to communicate that they are using. They have what's called the deep web and the dark web. And that's another topic for another time.
Oh, we definitely are talking about that. Okay.
But they communicate that way. You can also get prepaid cell phones, and these leave absolutely no trail with them. So when you think about it, you have to think about context and think, okay, they aren't getting anything from the terrorists because the terrorists aren't communicating like the average citizen, but they are collecting mass amounts of data from everyone else.
Right.
So think about that data. Who would love to know?
As I say, where's that going now?
Exactly. So you have this massive amount of data that's sitting in these repositories, and a key principle internationally with privacy is if you don't need data about people, don't collect it.
Right.
Because when you have data, automatically that data is going to be at risk.
Right.
You have to protect it. So you think about how many people work for the NSA. Well, we don't know because they won't tell us, but there's been some slips from people who have worked from the NSA, and we know it's around 100,000. Now, we know from some comments that, oh, well, it's a very small number of people who have access to this. We're really careful with it. Well, Edward Snowden was a person who had access to a whole lot of stuff, and look what happened there. I mean, he wanted to alert us to the fact that there's a lot of data out there, but in doing so, he released massive amounts of data online that included personal information. Now, when you think about how valuable this data is, think about those who might have access to it, and maybe they are approached, or they just think about the value that that data would have. And I've worked in security and privacy for a long time, and I can tell you that insider threat is very real and significant, and there's always going to be a small percentage of people who will do bad things with what they have access to if they feel that they can get away with it, and if they feel that they can make a profit from it, or it will benefit them in some other way. So
it just takes one or two people.
It just takes one or two people. So, you know, coming up on June 1st is the expiration of Section 215 of the Patriot Act. Section 215 it covers a few things, but it's very specific to the phone metadata. So we have a lot of folks out there saying, yes, we have to let this expire. I believe we have to too, because it's not doing us any good from a security standpoint. Then we have others saying, no, we need to keep collecting that because we may be able to catch people. But when you hear these arguments, you have to think about all the other data that is being collected and being used to actually stop bad things from happening, and the fact that even the person who wrote the USA Patriot Act, Jim Sensenbrenner, he has said multiple times, this is going way beyond what we wrote this section
what it was
to cover.
For.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
we could talk
interesting
about this
information.
forever,
No
yeah.
question about it. Now, people have any other questions they want to ask you. What's the easiest way to get a hold
They
of you?
could go on my website. I'm happy to answer their questions. Click on the question marks there. And I found a few that had been misplaced recently. So if I don't answer you right away, please give it a try again.
Were you hacked?
I wasn't hacked. I think it was my spam filter that got overly aggressive.
And then
So
your other website there too?
that's my other website for businesses, so I can help them. I'm helping a lot right now figure out how to protect health records. And here's another site. And I have a new training module that I just created over the weekend. So I also provide training for companies to make sure that their folks know how to protect that information when they're working with
Good
it.
stuff.
There you
And
go.
then on Twitter, people can
On
follow you on
Twitter,
Twitter.
Privacy Prof. So
you
if
go.
you're on Twitter, you can use Privacy Prof, and I will see your tweet.
That sounds great. Thank you. Good to see you.
Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you,
It is 8:30.